What's good, everybody? It's artist Warren Hynson. Far back as I can remember, I want to be an artist, right? And I remember I went on a field trip to the National Gallery of Art when I was like 6th grade, something like that, in Washington, D.C. Went there and a lot of other kids was running around doing what they were doing. I was like just lost in the artwork. I remember seeing a Jackson Pollock painting, not really understanding what abstract art was, not understanding what I was looking at, but I just remember being lost in this massive piece of artwork. It was crazy because I remember leaving that museum just knowing I wanted to be an artist. I remember drawing. I was getting they had this magazine called Cartoons. It was like a car magazine, but it was drawings of cars. I used to trace these cars and I used to hang them up in school like I drew them, right? That made me fall in love with drawing. So I was always drawing. I remember drawing The Simpsons, G.I. Joes, Transformers, whatever was in at the time. So even through high school, I was drawing. If I could look back, the only thing I ever wanted to do was draw. At that time, of course, I wasn't painting. I was just drawing. Colored pencils, using markers, crayons, whatever at that time. But I loved it. In high school, I became the president of the art club. My teacher, Holly Ransom, encouraging me to keep drawing and pursuing art after high school. There was no scholarships at the time for art school. And I remember going to my father, asking him, can I go to art school? And he was like, he was ex-military. So he was like, man, if you want to go to college, you go to military. And I was like, I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to fight nobody's war. I didn't want to fight nobody's military. I wanted to draw. I wanted to create. And I wanted to go to art school. One thing led to another. We had a big clash. And I ran away from home. I ran away from his home to my mother's home in Prince George's County, Maryland. Just got caught up. PG was 1,000 times faster than where I was from in Virginia. I wasn't used to it. I got swallowed by the streets. To make a long story short, caught a murder when I was 17 years old, 20 days after my 17th birthday. Caught a murder and it was proven in court I didn't do it. I was still found guilty, felony murder, because in Maryland, if you're with someone in the commission of a felony and someone loses their life, it doesn't matter who the trigger man is. There's a felony and there's a murder. Everyone involved is guilty of felony murder. I was found guilty and I was sentenced to natural life plus 5 years. And when I went to prison, I wasn't even thinking about drawing anymore. I went to jail in 1991, but in 1999, I got transferred from, at the time, Maryland House of Corrections annexed to Maryland House of Corrections, which we all call the Cut. My first day in there, I'll never forget it. Me and this dude named Terrence Brown, we got transferred the same day. And he was also an artist, but I didn't know that at the time. I just remember we walked past this guy's cell. His name was Robert Farmer. This man's cell looked like a gallery. His cell didn't have a TV, radio like everybody else. He had an easel and a painting that he was working on. But on his walls were nothing but the most beautiful paintings that I ever saw, right? It was like, wow. And I just remember being inspired again. I remember seeing his paintings and thinking about me when I was young at the National Gallery of Art and seeing that Jackson Pollock painting. And I remember, man, at that moment, I said, you know what? I'm in prison. At the time, I had 8 years in. And I said, you know what? I want to draw again. I want to create again. Robert Farmer. So we started talking, and I said, I want to learn how to do that. He said, if you're serious and you want to learn, meet me in the library every day at 1 o'clock. That's what I did. I got me a pass from the officer every day to go up to that library at 1 o'clock, and he taught me how to draw. And eventually, he started teaching me pastels. It was like art. He had me drawing styrofoam cups weeks and weeks and weeks, basically teaching me light and shadow. He would throw the cup on the table and he would give me that foundation, light and shadow. And eventually he started teaching me how to do other things. He ended up going home. From there, I met other artists that took me under the wing and taught me more and more and more. None of those artists was gatekeepers. None of them. They were poured into me. They taught me. They took me under the wing and taught me all types of stuff. You got guys like Larry Owen, William McLean, William X, E-Money, Elvis Tehran, Daryl Pratt. And then you had my friends that we were all learning how to draw and paint together. My man Chip, Razio, who I ended up teaching, right? But you had a lot of guys that was in the system, man, that really poured into me when it came to my art. And as I got older in the system, I started running the art club. I started teaching other guys how to draw and paint, like my man Razio, who I mentioned before, like my man Toledo. I taught a lot of guys how to draw and paint. I ran an art club for like 10 years. I got a lot more stories when I was in prison when it come to my art, how it molded me into the person I am today, and I look forward to sharing. That's it for now. Stay tuned. If you want to hear more, follow me. Follow my... Yeah, I got a lot of stories, prison stories about art. Not about the violence, not about the BS that goes on in prison, but about art and how it healed me from dying inside to being a person that started creating beautiful things. Eventually, I'll share how art helped me pay for my own lawyer. I'll share how art opened doors for me to having art shows while I was in prison. I was doing a lot, man, and I look forward to sharing with you all. Tune in, follow me, man, please, and like this, man, and share it with a friend. Have a good day, and peace to everyone. Peace.